Hello, friends. Hello, family. Coach John here. Just jumping on today to talk a little bit about my story, what I learned from my life, how I changed my life. I changed my health. I restored my health, and what I learned along the way over the last decade between my ages of 40 and 50. What I learned along the way, and how my mind was changed. I changed my habits and my behavior. I changed my lifestyle. And the reason why I was able to do that was because I changed my mind. I had to get a new understanding of reality, of life, of my health, of my sickness, a different understanding than I had. I'd like to just pull up a little presentation today, if I could. Just bear with me for one moment here while I pull up the slides. So like I said, it was a new lifestyle that I found, you know, a hidden lifestyle that I found, that's really kind of hidden right before our own eyes. And it was a realization of this, truth, this scientific, natural science truth that I was able to, um, once I understood that new natural science paradigm, I was able to walk away from the science paradigm that I had. So it was a change of mind that once I understood something new, I understood why I was supposed to or I needed to do certain things. And then I could justify going in a different direction. So I had to change my mind to change my life. But just to give you some background about me, I used to be a Mr. Universe contestant. I was in the Mr. Universe competition 27 years ago. My education was in kinesiology and psychology, so my background is in the sciences. I'm a true scientist by nature. I've always been this way. My mother was a teacher. Uh, I was a physical education teacher, grades 4 to grade 8. I've taught nutrition and anatomy in private schools. Uh, and I've been a coach for 30 years. I have a private training studio in my home, a business that I run with my wife and my partner. We run a health and wellness coaching program together where we help people get fit, healthy, and well and learn how to live a fit, healthy lifestyle. I've had 10 years of natural health experience, and that's just happened between 40 and 50. I am 50 now. I've been married for 20 years. I have 3 children. I've known my wife for 25 years. I tell you, I learned more about my health, even though I've been in the health industry for 30 years. I learned more about health when I lost my health than from all of my years of being a coach and a trainer and all of my schooling that I had. I started to put true health together when I lost my health. I'll tell you that my mother died when she was 43, 42. And when I was 40, I felt like I was going to go, I was dying. My body, my life was physically, mentally, emotionally bankrupt. I was gaining weight, getting sick, and I was, closing down a business, and like I say, having health troubles, sleep troubles, and it was spilling over into my relationships. Like my marriage was strained and my relationship with my children was strained, and I was working like crazy to try and make money, and just sort of stuck in that loop of life of just kind of making money and paying bills. And that's kind of what everyone falls into in life, is that, you've got to make money and pay bills. And yes, we do have to make money, and yes, we do have to pay bills, but at the expense of our health. You know, at some point, somewhere between 40 and 60, the health starts to disappear, and then we start gaining weight, or we start having sleep or digestive trouble, or we start having energy problems, and we start having relationship problems or work problems or financial problems. Like, this is happening across the globe. This is not, an isolated incident that I have. But, when I hit 40 and the bottom of my life dropped out, I knew there was obviously something wrong. Like, I was a champion bodybuilder at one time, an pro, almost professional athlete, semi-professional athlete, and somehow everything had gone, cataclysmically wrong. So I didn't know what it was, but I really hit this point in my life that, I could see my family was being strained, and the love that I had for my children, really made me do some soul searching and recommit myself to my health and to my life. I mean, I love my wife, but something, if a parent with a child, you have like something deeper for a child. I wanted to love and, care for my children, and I could see that somehow I wasn't emotionally invested. Somehow there was some emotional miss. I could see it. My relationships were straining, and I did not want to lose my relationships. I did not want to lose my family. I wanted to restore my health. There was two things. I had to restore my own health. I was afraid. My mother died at 42. Here I was at 40. Something was desperately wrong with my health. I could see there was a decline. People said it was just old age, just turning 40, and it's just hormones and stuff. You could just do like hormone therapy, and I took sleeping pills, and you could just treat the symptoms, but I knew it wasn't the solution, and I didn't know what was wrong, but I had to fix it. And so I had to recommit myself, like, to my health, to my best health for myself. Like, I had to decide that if I want to be a better husband, if I want to be a better parent, if I want to love my wife the way she deserved to be loved, and I want to love and be emotionally present with my children the way that I want to be, then I need to get myself well. So I had to make this decision, when I turned 40, that I was committed to creating my very best expression. I had to make this decision. I had to make this decision again and again and again. And just because I made that decision didn't just mean that everything went, perfectly. No, it's like the lifestyle of, rising and coming to that decision again and again and again. It's like learning that habit, right? Making your life better by your thoughts, words, and actions. So, here's a picture of me at 40, and here's a picture of me at 50, and you can see even the shape of my head has changed. You can see that, pus, inflammation, and waste came out of my face and my head. You know, there's no real explanation for that, for what we understand with, common knowledge about health and sickness and disease and bacteria and germs, and what we learn about how to deal with our health. Like, I could have just taken more I was taking antacids and ibuprofen. I was taking steroids. I was taking stimulants to work out more. I was having problems with sleep. I was taking sleeping pills. I was having problems with pain. I was taking ibuprofen. I had candida. I had yeast. I had athlete's foot. There was pain in my body. There was pain in my neck, pain in my back, pain in my knees, pain in my ankles. I was in pain. I was gaining weight. I was having trouble with sleep. I was medicated, self-medicating, drinking alcohol, drinking coffee, taking stimulants. I was out of balance in my life, and it was showing up in every single aspect of my life. And I knew I needed to make a change, but I just didn't know how or in what way. Like, my understanding of health at that time was eat protein and vegetables and push yourself as hard as you can in the gym. Like, that's what health always was up to that point in my life, that I started to question the way that I was living my life. Like, is life really just about working more, making more, pushing more, getting more? I thought that, and I did that until I got sick. Like, it was just about getting more vitamins, getting more minerals, getting more protein, pushing myself harder. Like, if something's wrong, just push harder. This comes to a breaking point, I think, in people's health and relationships somewhere between 40 and 60. You start to see a breakdown in your health, in your wealth, or your relationships. And it's an energetic breakdown. And it's because of the way that we're living. It's because of the way that we think we're supposed to live. It's because of the way that we think about ourselves and about our life and about what's right and what's wrong and what's good and what's bad. Like, we've been taught to live this way. That's just kind of the nature of life, and the realities of financial pressure in life, and the education that we get about life, that we get from one another, from interacting with one another. And we're all interacting with our life this way. So everyone thinks that that's the way it's supposed to be until we become sick, until something breaks, or, we start to gain too much weight, or we start to have too much pain in our body or our life in some way, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, relationally, societally, or just with the feeling that we have inside of ourselves and the energy that we have inside of ourselves. Like, at some point between 40 and 60 in the middle ages, this kind of reaches a critical mass. And I stay specifically around the middle ages, and I put this chart up, this table up, to kind of show you what's happening here. Like, from the age of 35, all of the markers for health begin to come down. And this is actually not a bad thing. This is a natural thing. If you follow society, what they'll just tell you to do, go to the doctor and just take testosterone or take progesterone or take estrogen, just take hormone therapy and just take it back up again. That is not what we are to do. No, we're to make a change in our life in our middle ages. Somewhere between 40 and 50, I would say, you know, earlier the better, but for sure between 40 and 60, you're going to start to notice a decline in energy and a decline in quality of sleep, an increase in pain and digestive problems. Because if you've learned to eat a certain way and you continue to eat that way, but now your body doesn't have the hormones, the hormone profile to support that type of nutrition any longer, then you're going to start to see some problems. You're gaining weight. You're having problems in all sorts of areas. And at the root of that is that I have gotten into a habit or an addiction to my food. It's like my food has gotten out of balance. Like, nutrition isn't supposed to be 3 times a day. Like, we were taught that. That was marketed to us. It's a change of mind that we need to kind of realize in order to restore our health. I tell you, when I hit 40 and I lost my health, and I kind of threw my hands up and I said, what what's wrong? What's wrong with me in my life? You know, whoever I was talking to, whether that you want to call that God, whether you want to call that the Holy Spirit, and whether you want to call that your inner power, or you want to call that, the creator, the source, the energy, the energy, the loving energy of nature, the prana, right? This is the ether. This is the energy of the universe. Like, I was at a broken point in my life and I threw my hands up and I said, like, what is wrong with me? What do I need to do? And, I looked at what I was doing and I started to change what I was doing and move in a different direction. Lo and behold, very shortly after I hit my bottom point at 40 with my health and my wellness, a customer of mine invited me to attend an event by Dr. Brian Clement. It was something Dr. Brian Clement was running the Hippocrates Clinic in Florida, and they were healing people of all sorts of things. It's information from Ann Wigmore, and they were healing all sickness and disease for many years in Florida, all cancer, all diabetes, arthritis, you know, every autoimmune disease, every sort of sickness, illness, and disease that we've got on our disease list and chart. Like, that's the disease model of health. Like, this is how we know about our health, is like whether or not we have these diseases. Like, we're following the disease model. We need to get back to the natural health model. We need to come away from the disease model. I went and heard Brian Clement speak, and this for the first time that I started to hear about pH, alkaline nutrition, and pH balance. And from there, I started into juicing, like starting my day with raw juices. I started to come away from eating protein at every single meal, and I started to start my day with juices, and I immediately felt a difference. I saw a difference. I started to look at my thought processes. I really looked at the best thought processes that I could find on the planet for success, Anthony Robbins and Abraham Hicks. I was deeply into spirituality. I was, I grew as a Christian, so I was a follower of Jesus. I read the Bible. And then I started to look at other world religions, and I started to look for the commonality rather than the separation. I started to see that the world teaches us separation. Like, if you follow the disease model that's, taught by medical association, by, financed by the pharmaceutical corporation who creates the educational system for the doctors that sell, that peddle the substances that we use to treat the symptoms of disease rather than fix or heal or cure or change the problem or the disease. This is a disease model that we're following. I started to see that there basically is kind of two thought processes. There's like the Western education system, which is valued in the world. Like, this is where all the value's been given to, is like if you have an education or not. However, if you go and get your Western education, you're going to be getting an education that's funded by the pharmaceutical corporation, which has a sort of one-sided science sort of education. It's not teaching natural science, it's teaching a separated science. Like, if you follow this model, you become a doctor, you become a specialist, you specialize in just one organ, or you specialize in just one thing. There's a kidney specialist, there's a pancreas specialist, there's a lung specialist, there's a heart specialist. We have different specializations that work in separate parts. If you follow the exercise model that they teach to the world, it's working body parts separately. Everything that the world teaches is separation. What's wrong? What's different? This is how we've been, taught to think and about what's different and why. If I've got a different idea than that person, then I don't have anything to learn from that person, because that person thinks this, then I can't learn something from that person. And I just really want you to think logically for a second. Do you agree with everything that your mother or your father or your sister or your brother thinks or says, even your best friend? Like, there's nobody on the planet that you're going to agree with everything that they think or say or do. You likely won't agree with everything that I say or my holistic nutritionist Sabina says. You may not agree with everything that we say, right? You don't have to. It's not about being in agreement with all things. It's just, bypassing some of this information by yourself and allowing yourself to be changed by these thoughts, by contemplating this information, not by you following a certain thing that we prescribe to you. We need to find out what's right for you, but in a way, through alkalizing our nutrition, by managing our pH balance. We need to come away from treating the symptoms and the disease and coming to this new natural healthy approach, which has always been here. It's not new information. Natural medicine has always been. We've lost sight of the truth that love and health are the same thing. The health is within, love is within. That if you start to get healthy, you'll start to love yourself more, and you'll have a greater capacity to love others. You'll have a greater health vibration, a better resonance or energy about you. Your emotional body will be up. You'll have more neuroscience. Brain chemistry will be better more often. Your predominant thought will be in a more optimistic place. You'll have an optimistic view about your future, about your reality, right? This is what's been lost. We've lost hope because all we've seen is sickness, illness, and disease around us over the last few years. All we've had is pressure and scary ideas, kind of forced upon us on sort of a repetitive loop for 2 to 3 years. So the human spirit, the soul body, the energy body, the emotional body, the feminine body, the resonance, the vibration, the health is in decline. And this is why people are getting so much more sickness, illness, and disease, because we are in a hopeless state of mind, like worried about the price hikes, worried about the cost of goods, worried about our future with our business or our finances or with our homes or with our investments, because the financial market, because we're in a recession, a depression. If you really look at it, this coming off of a pandemic, this is the same story that we had 100 years ago in 1919. We were coming off a pandemic. We went into a recession, a deep depression, the depression of the 20s. Like, this is like a repetition of life. Like, we're recycling the last 100 years. If you really start to look at what's happened over the last 100 years, you really start to see what's gone on. Over the last 100 years, 110 years, there's been the privatization of the banks, and the medical association, funded by the Rockefeller dollars, has taken over the educational system. So what we've learned, we've all learned over the last 100 years, has been something that's kind of coming from a profit focus. And that's why it's all profit driven. And that's why everyone is sort of stuck in this financial sort of crisis, because we're all chasing the mighty dollar. I tell you, money makes the whole thing go around. But prior to 1910, prior to the 1915s, there was natural health information prevalently. It was the talk of the town of the day. I found a book by Dr. Arnold Ehret, which was written in 1909. And if you look at information prior to 1910, you'll find conscious, um, personal empowerment messages were available prior to 1910. And then we started to move into bacteria and germs and disease and multiple meals a day. And breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And protein is the most important nourishment for the body. And you have to get your macronutrients and your calories. This education has come to us. We were taught these things. So I found the book by Dr. Arnold Ehret, and I really started to understand this idea that health is within, love is within, that this is the nature is a loving, healthy, vibrant, energetic nature. This is the life force energy that we're talking about. We're talking about atomic energy. We're talking about the energy of cellular metabolism. That is like the energy of electrons. I want you to get away from this energy of calories and protein. It's a change of mind from macronutrients to coming to natural health. I found Dr. Robert Morris. I found Dr. Sebi. I found the ideas of Professor Hilton Hotima. They directed me into the pranic lifestyle, into a lifestyle of fasting. Previously, this was called an aesthetic lifestyle. Jesus lived an aesthetic lifestyle. The Buddha lived an aesthetic lifestyle. I started to see the commonality. I started to see what's common and what's the same. I started to think and talk about the things that were common and the same. I saw, the work of Dr. Deepak Chopra. I found books, The Power of Now. I found books that were bringing the power of mind into the power of the present, and that there was a connection between mind, body, spirit. There needs to be a connection. We need to see the oneness that's here. We need to see the connection and the unity that is here and that is possible for all of us, and the health that's possible for all of us to attain. It's love, it's health, it's a change of mind, it's a change of mind and understanding that we gain that allows us to change our life. So we have to open ourselves up to new ideas, and that comes from new relationships. Relationships come from dialogue, through communication. This is how change happens, through dialogue, through communication. New ideas and new information can be shared. And it's not new ideas. I'm misleading with that information. That's a half-truth. These are old ideas that have been sort of taken out of common knowledge, and we've fallen into some new kind of mental programming or mental illusion that we've been taught about where our energy comes from and what our energy is, and we've lost sight of what true energy is. So, I say I had a science background, and when I lost my health, I came back to science. But this time I came back to science with childlike eyes. I came back to science trying to look at the science for commonality, for its loss of life. It's become purely physical and measurable. That's what the science that we know about. That's the science that we understand. That's the profit-driven science. The science that is just measurable. Now, this is the thing, is that the spirit or the energy or the emotion or the resonance or the vibration or the life force, like the physical will remain. After we die, the body still is here. The cells are here. But the energy, the essence, the resonance, the vibration, the spirit, the soul has left the body. So to see that it's the spirit or soul that gives life to the body, it's not the physical. I came to look at the physical things, the periodic table. There's like 130 elements, somewhere around there, 130 elements in the known universe of science, in the measurable universe of science. like all the star matter, all the space and the earth matter, all of the trees and the plants and the animals, and all of the bone and the structure and the gristle and the fat, everything that is made up of these 130 things. And if you look at those 130 things, they all have certain characters and properties: hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, all of these things, these elements that create all of the things: the food, the cars, the clothes, the homes, the people, all of the things, the animals, the foods, the fruits, the vegetables, all of them are made up of these physical things, but they're inanimate things unless the life force is moving through them. So physical things are inanimate or not alive or not living or not vibrating, not having the life essence or the life vibration or the life force vibration. They're vibrating at a lower frequency than that of life. So I started to, look at, hydrogen, for instance. It's the smallest element. It's the original element. It's the element of the hydrogen ball, our sun. The sun throws a hydrogen light. That's an electron. That's a charge that comes to the earth. That electron charge ignites the earth. It ignites us if we get into the light of the sun. Getting a little sidetracked, just to understand hydrogen, but hydrogen is the smallest molecule. It has tremendous value. It's necessary. It's a part of water. Hydrogen. It carries electromagnetic energy, or the light. It captures the light of the sun in the water. This is structured water or living water. This is living food. I started to look at the periodic table and learn about the elements a little bit more, and coming back and thinking about them a little bit more, and thinking about them within myself and pondering in them myself and talking about them myself. And I looked at the smallest elements and I looked at all of the elements, and I saw that all of the elements are made up of two things, two charges, a plus and a minus. I started to see that all things are two here. Like all of the things are made up of elements that are plus and minus, and neutral. It's like a triangle. It's like mind, body, spirit. It's a triangle, a plus charge, a minus charge, or a plus or an inner charge, like no charge, and a negative, a charge, and then a neutral, a nothingness. This is the nature of all things. And I want you to see that this is even the nature of yourself, that there is a physical you, there is an emotional you, and there is a mental you. Like this is the masculine, the feminine, and the mind that can move its focus between the physical and the metaphysical, or the emotional, or the spiritual. It's the mind depends where its focus is. And if the mind has been skewed to the physical through the science education and only understands what's measurable, that's the physical, it leaves out entirely another part of the self, the emotional or the energy body. And this is the problem with the educational system. If you get the valued educational system, you will be educated out of the emotional body. You'll be educated out of the energy body or the essence. Like this in the Western society is kind of woo woo, like that has no value. And the only way to see it is to move to the Eastern understanding or the Eastern philosophy, and you'll see it come up in Chinese medicine or acupuncture. You see it in yoga. You see it, they speak about the energy body. You see it in Tai Chi. You see it in Qigong. You see it, they speak about the energy body in the East, but this idea is left out of the Western educational system. And because of this, there's a separation of the masculine and the feminine. It's two ideas that are here in the world. There's always two ideas, and an infinite separation between infinite individuals that hold different positions from one extreme to the other. But there's two poles, a masculine and a feminine, a thinker and a feeler. This is how all things are. The human has the power of mind, the only one that has the power of conscious mind, free will, choice, the only one that has the capacity to change their attention from the physical to the spiritual or the metaphysical. This is the human that has this power of choice and free will, that has the power to fix or change or heal themselves with their own thoughts, words, and actions, with what they think about most often. The human is the creator of their life by what they think about most often. If they have been thinking about fearful things, if they've been thinking about sickness, illness, and disease, if they've been thinking about eating their protein, carbs, fats, getting their vitamins, minerals, if they've been thinking about eating 3, 4, 5 meals a day, if they've been thinking about their next food, drink, job, work, career, if that's all they're thinking about, what they need to get, what they need to eat, what they need to get, what they need to eat, what they need to pay for, if this is what they spend their mind thinking on all of the time, there will be a decline in the human's energy body, and there will be a decline in the human's capacity to generate alternative thoughts and ideas. Like those things will become weak. Like when we were children, we used to imagine, and then once we kind of hit teenagers, they started to say, get real, and, stop imagining, stop playing games, stop having recess, stop being physical, stop moving and breathing, be still and work on this task. We started to take up tasks and responsibilities and fill roles and do things that we need to do because we want to be good parents and good employees and good providers and good lovers and good workers and good people. So we toe the line and we do the things that we're supposed to, but we forget ourselves. We forget a part of ourselves. We forget our energy body. And we get stuck in our mental body. We get stuck in our minds, and we get stuck in one sort of frame of mind or one story. And then once we get stuck in one frame of mind or one story, we can't seem to find our way out of it. We become addicted to that story. And I literally mean that we become addicted to the chemicals and drugs that that story creates in our mind, because what you think about, you create. What you think about, you manifest in your mind at the neurochemistry, at the level of serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin, that your thoughts create things. They create feelings inside of your body that, through your brain, through your nervous system, every single thought that you think is affecting your body chemistry. It's affecting yourself at the physical level. Your thoughts are creating your physical. It's actually what we need to do is we need to start, instead of approaching our life from an outside view, from an outside look at the world, we need to start to take an internal view of ourselves and the world. That really sickness, illness, and disease isn't something that we get from more protein or vitamins or minerals or a certain product or a certain thing or a certain person or a certain diagnosis or a certain drug or chemical. No, my health is something that I attain within me by restoring my pH balance, by alkalizing my body, by rehydrating my body, by energizing my body through rising my body's atomic energy, my electromagnetic energy. This has nothing to do with calories or proteins or this type of energy is made through breathing. This is cellular metabolism that creates ATP, or the energy body. When I got sick, I started to come back to holistic health. I started to come back to science. I started to come back to movement and fasting. I started to come back to natural things that I learned from looking in places that were a little bit obscure and a little bit hidden. And I started to discover that physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health has always been here. It's what is always here. And, we say this mind, body, soul. And I want just to give you an understanding, just to change or stretch your understanding of mind, body, soul, to understand that mind and body sort of see brain as being a part of the body, being a part of the physical. Brain and body are the physical. Mind is not brain. Mind is sort of what the brain can do. It can think. Mind is kind of above brain, body. Brain and body are the physical or the masculine. See, emotional and spiritual. We see mind, body, soul, spiritual. Spiritual and emotional are opposite sides of the feminine coin, or the feeling body, the energy body. Spiritual and emotional are two sides of your health coin. Physical and brain and body are two sides of your physical coin. We need to work on the two sides of the physical coin, the mental and the physical. And if we do this, we will rise the energy in the mental and the physical. And as we rise the energy in the mental and the physical body, the emotional and the spiritual body will also rise. That what you do to one side happens to the other side. That if I work on my physical and my mental, that my emotional and spiritual will grow. That my emotions, my feelings will rise, and my understanding of reality will grow. That's my spiritual understanding, or my worldview will grow. It's about growing our worldview. It's about growing our emotional body. It's about working on our mental and our physical body. It's about taking mental and physical action daily to make that your predominant thought or your predominant action. Your thoughts, words, and actions are what fix, change, heal your life. So I found the pH scale. I started to understand, the science of pH, and just, for understanding, pH stands for potential hydrogen. This is the hydrogen's potential to up level or rise from H2 to H3. You see, the light of the sun, it sends a hydrogen light. The sun is a hydrogen reaction. It's a hydrogen ball. It creates all of the life here on the planet. That hydrogen ball throws a hydrogen light. The water on the earth, the blue rock from the sun, the blue rock and the green rock, the trees are made up of water. The water is in the blue and the green. The green and blue rock is made of water. The water is inspired by the light. It moves from H2O, it becomes H3. Natural water in nature, has a structure or an energy to it. That's the water that's in fruit. That's the water that's in vegetables. That's the water that's in living foods. That's the water of life. That's an electromagnetic water. That's an inspired water, an invigorated water, or a structured water. That's living water. That's water that has hydrogen risen. It's an up level of the hydrogen from H2 to H3. So the water has the capacity to capture the light of the sun and capture that light, that energy, that life in a fruit or a vegetable or something alive. Just the water that's sitting in the lake, that's living water. It's touching the earth. The earth has a charge. The earth is inside the light of the sun all of the time. It's always getting charged by the light of the sun. The water is always getting charged by the light of the sun. But the water that we drink from the tap is a forced water. It's a chemical treated water. It's not natural. We've got to get back to living foods and living juices. We've got to rehydrate ourselves. with distilled waters. This is the natural water. The natural water in nature is warmed by the sun. It rises, it cools, and then it rains. That rain is distilled water. That distilled water is in the lake. That's always in the cycle. Understanding healing ourselves is really quite simple and natural. And any one of us can learn how to do it. It's simple science. It's natural science. It's sensible science. It's common sense. Once we start to look and understand and look in the right way, instead of looking for sickness, illness, and disease, we start to look for health. If we begin to look for health, we can find it. I tell you, there's two things that you got to do with the physical. We got to work on the movement. There's got to be daily movement, because daily movement sets up the neurochemistry and it sets up the endocrine function. If you're beyond 40 or 50, your endocrine function is on decline. If you've been living in the world over the last 3 years, your neurochemistry has been on decline. If you've been working for any length of time on a job and just paying bills and thinking and speaking about paying bills and doing that sort of thought process for any length of time, 10, 20, 30 years, your capacity to create the neurochemistry of health is on the decline. If you've been eating proteins, carbs, and fats because that's what you've been thinking and that's what you've known and that's what everyone else is eating and drinking and doing, and you've been doing it too for 30, 40, 50 years, you need to get some new information about nutrition. You need to get into a new nutrition and come away from the macronutrients, from the calories, from the proteins, carbs, and fats, and move into living food nutrition. That's atomic energy. That's hydration. That's hydrogen-rich fluids. That's distilled waters. That's clean water and living foods. It's less physical nutrition. It's more fluid nutrition. It's a more fluid nutrition with fasting. It's an aesthetic lifestyle with fasting. I tell you, it's moving, eating raw foods, fasting, and the things that we're thinking and saying to ourselves in each moment. Fasting won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2016. Fasting is cutting edge science for restoring health. It's the body's natural way to restore health. By fasting, the body cleanses itself. It's called autophagy. It's cellular cleansing. It's how all of the organelles in the body are cleaned through fasting. You know, fasting needs to become the lifestyle. It's an aesthetic lifestyle that Buddha and Jesus used to find enlightenment, to find the Spirit of God within them, the Holy Spirit within them, the energy body within them. By eating one meal a day, the Buddha, by eating fruits and grapes and living on minimalist lifestyle. It's a lifestyle of less. It's a minimalist lifestyle. Jesus fasted 40 days and 40 nights. It's fasting. It's a lifestyle of fasting and raw foods that restores health to the body. It's a lifestyle that includes daily movement, energy, invigorating movement, yoga, tai chi, qigong, boxing, throwing, jumping, crawling, kicking, squatting, lunging, primitive movements, primal movement patterns, coming away from this separate body part type training and moving to primal patterning training, functional training, core training, training that affects the pressure in the body, the thoracic pressure in the body that pulls on the core musculature, the diaphragm. The diaphragm manages the breath. It's about breath. It's about what thoughts we're engaging in mind while we breathe. Fasting And raw foods, lighter living, allow the body to become more aware of the self. As you start fasting, practicing fasting, as you start moving towards raw foods and juices, you will notice your awareness of self will increase. It's about fasting. It's about getting more aware of yourself. It's about getting more aware of your thoughts and words on a moment to moment basis. To change my most predominant thought, I need to become more self aware. I need to empty out my body to cleanse it. And this is the way that what has to happen is I need to have some new thoughts and words being spoken to us. Or I need to listen to some things that are giving me some new thoughts and words. Or I need to read something, or I need to gather some new thoughts and words from some new people. Or I need to get around some new people, some new information to change my life. I want to tell you that energy production is not something that we get from eating calories. Yes, we can get energy that way, but that is really a really one-track mind about energy and health. And if we keep that one-track mind about our energy and health, by the time we hit 40 or 50, we'll start to lose our health somewhere in there. You'll start to feel pain, or you'll start to see digestive or elimination trouble. You'll start to see weight gain or lethargy, or a decline in mood, like a loss of happiness. This is going to happen to us all. And it's really that we need to understand that energy is really cellular metabolism, or what happens when the cell takes in oxygen and breathes out carbon dioxide. It's breath. It's breath that moves the energy through the body. It's breath that moves the energy body. And we can move our energy body by breathing, and we can get ourselves going by moving and breathing daily and adding invigorated thoughts and words to our movements, to our day. We can get out into the light of the sun. We can drink natural distilled water. We can invigorate our water with hydrogen-rich foods. We can put fruits into our water. We can invigorate our distilled waters. We can drink raw juices and eat fruits. We can fast. We can exercise. We can think and speak positively about ourselves. That positive thinking and speaking about ourselves is our solar plexus, or our internal sun. It's our decision maker to decide in each moment to think positively about what's happening in my life versus in a worried way about my life. If I'm in a hopeless place, worried about my health, going to the doctor, trying to find out about my health, not understanding that I have power to control my health, I feel out of control. I feel like I don't have control of my health. This loss of control, a loss of health, a loss of happiness, this low energy can be restored through the imagination, through the energy body, through visualization. We can put our focus upon the energy body, and we can grow the energy body through thoughts and words and actions, through visualization, through more often during my day, spending time thinking and speaking about things that create a vision inside of me, that create a certain feeling, that create a certain neurochemistry that comes into every cell of my being by what I'm thinking about most often. My predominant thought creates my reality. What I'm breathing moves that energy through the body. The breath does not require thought. The body knows how to heal itself. The body has always been the healer. The healer is not the doctor or the medication or the supplement or the food. The healer is the body. The body knows the way to heal itself. It's to really sit and come out of the thoughts that we're in and come into the breath. And the breath is the access point to leave the thought. The breath is how we leave thought and come back into the body and come back into awareness. And when we're empty and fasting and living on liquid nutrition, and living on raw foods or juices or fruits, a lighter nutrition, less protein, animal protein, less starches, less fats, a lighter nutrition gives me greater self-awareness, greater awareness of my thoughts, my words, my actions. A lighter nutrition allows my energy to move more freely through my body. It allows my emotional body to heal. I need to heal my emotional body. I need to come over my trauma, the PTSD that we've all been under, the stress and strain that we've all been under for the last 3 years, for the last 20, 30 years, if we're in our middle ages, the stress that we've been put in our body. We need to reverse it with fasting and exercising and thinking and speaking positively about ourselves and spending some time each day just focusing on our breathing and our visualization, on our meditation or our conscious breathing, breath work. This is all about creating a new, happy, healthy lifestyle for ourselves. And so, that's my program. And I do that along with a holistic nutritionist, Sabina. And together we help people to change their food and introduce fasting and overcome emotional trauma and get their strength back and get their length and flexibility back and overcome their pain, lose their weight, and fix and change and heal their energy and their relationships and change their life through daily exercise, through yoga and dance and calisthenics, flexibility, through strength training and endurance and balance, through daily accountability by checking in with me, by checking in with Sabina on a daily basis. We're exercising with you multiple times per day. We're moving with you multiple times a day. We're speaking with you multiple times a day. If you tune in, like we'll have sessions throughout the day that you can tune in for 30 minutes to meet with us throughout the day. We'll teach you fasting. We'll teach you cleansing. We'll teach you raw food cleansing. We'll teach you how to refeed yourself and rebalance your food and how to rest and get back to it. Recommit yourself. Will help to teach you the discipline of that. That is the masculine, the discipline. And will help to teach you the feminine, the imagination or the meditation and the breath work as well too, and help that emotional body to heal and overcome, the trauma that we've all been under. This is done through daily physical and mental reprogramming. This is done through weekly private coaching calls supported by Sabina and myself. This is done through meditation, conscious breathing, accountability, problem solving, discussion, relationship, emotional support, shadow work. Let's learn how to do these things. Let's learn how to live a happy, harmonious, healthy life again for ourselves. Sabina and I have been doing that for a lifetime, and we've created a system and a method to support people, others, to move in that direction for themselves. Here's our Eastern schedule. We're teaching 30-minute sessions multiple times a day, so you can tune in anytime you like, 7 days a week. 30-minute sessions. Tune in as often as you like. On Sunday, we've got an hour session. We're including on Sunday meditation and yoga as well too, along with our invigoration, our daily invigoration. This is physical, this is mental, this is emotional, this is nutritional, this is putting it all into a lifestyle and giving you a little bit of support, a little bit of education, and a little bit of help, a little hand holding along the way as you learn how to do it. Right now, special offer November 1st. This won't last like this forever, but right now get 40% off. Get started with Sabina and myself for 30 days of support. We're working on our best, and we'll show up to share our very best with you daily online and weekly in online calls. We'll discuss all aspects of this again and again and teach you how to do this for yourself. And lovely friends, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my presentation today. I really appreciate you. Thank you very much. Have yourself a super awesome, terrific day.